Hi guys, good afternoon. Adam here, ReefRoids Aquatics TV. We're not at the shop today, we're in Naas. We're at Dean Lewis's house. Dean's one of our shop ambassadors and also an ambassador for the AQUAFOREST brand. We'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit further in, but today we're starting our Tank Tours series, which we're going to call Tanks of Ireland. Good title? Do you like it? Tanks of Ireland?
Yeah.
I think so. At least most of the tanks that we look at are going to be in Ireland. So today we're looking at Dean's tank. It's a fabulous tank. I've never seen this before. I've known Dean for about the time that I've been working at the shop. As shop ambassador, Dean's in and out a lot, which is always wonderful to see him. But I've never seen this tank. This is the first time looking at this tank. And I have to say, as you come up the stairs, it's mind-blowing.
Oh, yeah.
You come up to the top of the stairs there, you see the tank through the open door. It's fabulous, mate.
Yeah,
it looks absolutely beautiful.
Thank you very much.
So yeah, Dean's going to take us through his tank today. We're going to look at the livestock, we're going to look at the corals and fish, we're going to look at how he's running the tank, bit of equipment, all of that kind of stuff. Really get into how this tank's working and how it's flourishing. So go on, Dean, where should we start? Fish?
Fish, yeah, let's start with fish.
Start with the fish.
Yeah, so I've a pair of mocha clowns here. That are just absolutely gorgeous.
They're beautiful.
Yeah, they're really, really nice. There's a lovely orange, brown kind of coming through them.
Yeah.
Which I really, really like. Then I have three tanks. I have a gorgeous Achilles, which I like to think is the cleanest Achilles in Ireland.
It's fin perfect.
Yeah, he's very, very
We'll
healthy.
put some close-ups of these fish over the top of while we're talking so you can see some of these animals. But guys, honestly, I've seen a few Achilles in a few tanks, but this one is absolutely fin perfect. A lovely size as well.
Yeah, he's really, really nice. But you can tell even with the other, with the gem tank and the yellow tank, that he's like the king of the tank.
Okay.
If any new fish come in, like even when I put food in, it's almost like, okay,
really?
I share first,
He's the
and then
one.
everyone else can eat then after.
We'll feed them on camera after.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, once we've done this, we'll
feed
give them some food, see what's going on.
I have about 17 blue-green chromas here as well, which kind of provide a nice kind of school, which you don't really often see in a reef tank. Which I really like it as well, because
I think people tend to put 3 or 4 chromas in.
Yeah, I think that's
you need
the issue.
A lot to get the impact, don't you?
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
and it works, mate. It really works.
You can see, because obviously there's a kind of a pecking order. There's some really big ones.
Yeah.
Then there's a couple of smaller ones as well. But yeah, I think they add, especially the shimmer underneath the lights as well.
Yeah.
You can kind of see them pop, which is really, really nice, I think.
Absolutely. Did they all go in at the same time, or did you add them over time?
No, I added 20 and I lost 3, which I'm quite proud of, because usually they do pick each other off eventually.
Yes.
But they've been in there over a year now together.
Wow.
They're all very, very happy as well. So
that's fantastic. And that mystery wrasse, he's sitting front and centre right now.
He's absolutely
what a fish.
Well. Yeah, he's a very chunky boy as well.
Yeah.
But he kind of keeps. You can always see him picking at the rocks. He's always like. Something I think about wrasses is, a lot of people don't see them as utilitarian fish.
Yes.
But they are. They're constantly picking at the rocks. They're constantly saying, "Can I eat this? Can I not eat this?"
Yeah.
So that's why I have obviously the mystery.
Your dogs are having a good old fight down there. Shut them up. Absolutely not cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So where were we? We were talking about your wrasse as utilitarian fish. You're absolutely right. I mean, pest and parasite control as well, right? I mean, like they're eating bristleworms, flatworms, that kind of thing. Wrasse, they're gorgeous, they're beautiful, but they certainly serve a purpose as well, don't they?
100%. And I think there's such a wide range of colours. Combinations you can get with them.
Yeah.
So like I think they're perfect for any tank.
Yeah.
I suppose the key thing for the wrasse is obviously a sand bed.
Yes.
Make sure that they have a sand place to sleep in at night. But like I have plenty of sand there. And yeah, I think they look absolutely great. The mystery wrasse is gorgeous. But the fish I actually get the most questions about on Instagram is this solar wrasse or koi wrasse. Everyone wants to know what it is. Wow. But yeah, he's absolutely gorgeous as well.
He's stunning.
Yeah, he's really nice.
He's a chunk as well, isn't he?
He's very chunky. Yeah. Very chunky. But yeah, I think that's all of my fish. I have 2 Antias as well.
Yes.
I started off with, I think, 10. And as Antias go, they tend to pick each other off.
As they do, yeah.
So I have 2 left now. So
it's really interesting. This is a tank where your initial impact is that it's full of fish. When you look into it, what you've actually got is a really nice school and then some really high level showpiece fish.
Yeah.
You know, like Achilles, gem and yellow as your tangs, mystery wrasse and your koi wrasse, as your kind of utilitarian, like you say, pest control fish. And then your clowns are not just a pair of clowns like everyone starts to tank with, are they? They're a pair of the most stunning mocha clowns that I think I've ever seen in my whole entire life. I even had to ask Dean what they were when I first saw them because of all the names that clownfish could be. But it's stunning, mate. It's absolutely beautiful, and I think you've really got your fish population spot on. If you tried to put too many in, it would detract from the rest of it. If you didn't have enough, it would look a bit empty. It's perfect. It's absolutely gorgeous. Fair play.
I don't think there is another fish that I would add, if I'm being 100% honest with you. There's obviously fish I'd love to add, but there's not any other fish that I think would work in this system and with the combination of fish I have. And I'm really happy with the combination of fish, so I don't really want to go near it. So
and fish for purpose as well, right? I mean, when you're running a tank like this, which is, I mean, the corals in this, you'll see in the close-ups, but I haven't even thought to count your torches. There must be 50. Your meat corals are stunning. Alveoporas, gonioporas. You've got massive blue tip elegance in the corner there, and some SPS going as well. If you overcrowded it with fish, you'd sort of detract from that side of it. Then, wouldn't you?
I completely agree.
Let's segue that onto the corals, shall we?
Yeah.
Tell us what you've got.
Corals. Well, as you'll see from the shots, it's an LPS dominant tank.
Very much.
You can tell I have two loves. Euphilia, torch corals. Obviously, like you can see, the whole tank is stacked with them. Something I love about LPS is, number one, I find a lot of times when people come into and have a look at my tank and they don't know much about it, they always ask, is that alive?
Yes.
And with LPS, it's a lot easier to explain to them.
Absolutely.
Yes, that's actually
we get that in the shop all the time. People walk past a coral base and go, are they alive?
Yeah.
It's like, they are. Everything you see is alive.
100%. But the sway, like you'll see in the shots, like the torch corals are constantly swaying. A lovely combination of colours, like you can see there's some holy grails there. Then there's some, Son of Gods, jesters. Like it's I think the combinations of torches that you can get is just unbelievable.
Absolutely.
And you see the tanks on Instagram and like that are full of torches. And the whole tank is basically just like this.
Everything's
almost like it's an illusion.
Isn't it? Absolutely.
And then obviously my Acanthophilia. I think I have 11 in there at the minute. The feed response that I get for these is it's unbelievable.
That's why you keep them, isn't it?
It's unbelievable. It's second to none, if I'm being 100% honest with you. Like they're gorgeous. And you can tell not to big myself up, but
100%.
They're really neat, they're really fluffy.
So they are enormous. Like they are so puffed out. They're wonderful.
So I'm really happy with them. As you mentioned, then obviously the gunnies / Alveopora. You can see that they're really starting to grow out. They're starting to take off a small bit.
And have these gone in as little frags, or have some of them gone in as bigger colonies?
They've gone in as smaller frags and started to take off.
Wow.
So I'm quite happy with the direction they're going in. And I think it'll be a nice almost. With my rock work, I've kind of have it as almost like a stepping ladder up, if that makes sense. So on the sand bottom, there's all the meaty corals, then Alveopora here, and then we step up to the torches. And I just think it adds like layers to the tank, which is really important as well.
100%.
I have added in some Meliopora SPS. I'm just kind of seeing. Use them as a stepping stone, kind of see.
So you're just playing around. How do they do? Do they take off? Do
100%,
they?
100%.
Okay, and you're just starting to add the sort of SPS.
Just starting to add the SPS.
Okay, and how long's your tank running?
It's be 2 years in November.
2 years in November. 2 years in November, guys. And Dean's just starting to experiment with putting a few SPS corals in, acros, Meliporas, that kind of thing. That's a really good gauge, and it's actually worth kind of drawing on that a little bit for everyone watching. That we have people coming in, setting up tanks, and within literally a matter of days, weeks, even months, people are going, okay, can I put Aquapora in? And the answer is, well, you can add them in. You can put whatever you want in the tank if you want, but is it going to do well? Would you agree that you really have to let a tank become very established before you should even consider putting SPS, like difficult acros, that kind of thing?
I think there's very, very few people in the world, not just Ireland, in the world, that could set up a tank and just the first coral to put in is Aquapora.
Absolutely.
I don't think many. I
totally agree with you.
Even some of the most experienced reefers put Aquapora in, and all of a sudden it doesn't do well. And kind of a belief I have is, and I know technically I have some Aquapora in, so now technically it is a mixed reef. But I think you need to kind of decide, are you going SPS or are you
which
going
route are you going? 100%.
Because mixed reef is so tough. It's so tough. And a lot of people, like everyone has busy lives outside of it.
Absolutely.
So I think the kind of easier you keep it, the kind of calmer you keep it, it works out better.
Well, I think reefing is all about keeping stability of conditions and keeping the right combination of conditions for the animals that you're keeping.
I agree.
So if you go out into the wild and you look for these corals, you're not going to find them together.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to find your LPS a lot deeper than you're going to find, well, some. There are outliers in every situation.
Of course.
But your brightly coloured acros, your majority of your SPS, it's up there at the top of the reef in the turbulent flow, in the direct sunlight, all of that kind of stuff. And then you go further, deeper, stiller, etc. And now you start to come across more of your euphilia, more of your meat corals that sit on the sand, that kind of thing. So trying to put the two together literally side by side in a tank, it takes some doing.
It's tough. Like, there's so much that you need
flow and light and everything, literally. I mean, those are just the basics.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not saying that it can't be done.
Yeah,
people,
of course.
People do it, and
well,
there's a lot.
You're a perfect example of that.
There's a lot of successful tanks that do it.
Absolutely.
But I think it's easier if you do decide, because I think when people come into the hobby, they have a draw towards either LPS or SPS.
100%.
And I think a lot of the time people start off with LPS and then they start to adventure more on the SPS. And I think that's a good stepping stone to make, because you can get the life in your tank with LPS. Like one hammer head, when you see the flow and you see the colour compared to one stick of SPS, everyone's going to choose the hammer.
Absolutely.
Unless you're a proper like stickhead,
basically. But I love the mix, mate. Absolutely gorgeous. A bit of everything, like you say. It's very much LPS dominant, but like you have some sticks, you have a few plating corals there. Even anemones. Should we talk about your anemones briefly?
Yeah, sure. So I have a giant reddy orange carpet anemone. That's a huge nem in the corner there. It's probably bigger than a dinner plate. I think probably almost a dinner plate and a half. And it's just sitting in the corner there. I feed it maybe 2 cubes of frozen food every week. Okay. And I just love seeing the feed response. Like the whole thing just collapses in on itself.
So you target feed a couple of cubes directly to that animal.
100%. And I target feed the rock flower anemones as well.
The rock flower anemones, they're beautiful. You've got at least 3 or 4 down there. All different colours, all different, and they're big as well. You know,
they're really chunky.
Are they in there a long time?
They're probably, I'd say, 8 months, 9 months maybe. Okay. So it is. But the thing about rock flower anemones is the colour combinations you can get from them is unbelievable. And they are hardy, I think. And the feeding response you can get with them is almost the exact same as you can get from the Acanthophilia. It's really easy. They're nice and a fraction of the price as well. So like, why would you not have a few of them in your tank?
And they don't walk around your tank so much. They don't split all over the place. They're a little bit more of a.
They're a nicer anemone, especially if you have an adult tank as well. You can really fill the floor up with rock flower anemones, and it can really look really nice. Then you can even go into your the anemone crabs, and you can just see them. Gorgeous
the porcelain crabs. We have some in the store right now. They're beautiful, and the colours on those crabs are gorgeous as well. For a tiny little invert.
For an invert as well. So there's a lot of things you can play around with the carpet anemone and with the rock flower anemone as well, which is really, really nice.
Well, it works here.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Okay. Can we talk a little bit about the general equipment that you're running and stuff like that?
100%.
I've been having a look through the tank and digging around and digging some in his cabin, having a look at what he's running, and it's quite straightforward, isn't it? I mean, so the tank, what tank is it? It's a Red Sea?
Red Sea, so it's the Red Sea Gen 2 550 litre tank. It's the same one that's actually in the store.
Our display tank in the store for anyone that's been in. It's the same tank, same dimensions, everything like that?
So it is that tank. What I like about this tank is it's almost like the 525 Red Sea one. You have the same length, but you have extra depth. And that's kind of something that I struggled with when I first started. It was with the extra depth and using it. But I think I've kind of, that's why with this rock work where it's almost like a step ladder, you kind of makes you have to use the depth of the tank, which is really nice. Like, so you have that extra.
It's underrated, isn't it? Having more basically front to back depth in your tank allows so much more in terms of scaping and open scapes and stuff like that. It just looks better, doesn't it?
100%.
You know, and this is one of the reasons why I try to steer people away from kind of more of your trop setups that we were talking in the tank setup video. Second one's going out in a couple of days. The idea that you take a tropical setup and use it for a marine setup, you can get away with in certain things, but one of the other things is they're often quite narrow tanks. So having the depth and the bigger footprint of the marine tank just makes scaping so much easier.
100%. So It's the Red Sea 550 litre. I'm running two Atlantic Orphic Atlantic icons.
Orphic Atlantics. Cool.
You can see that, you know, they sit
great
well.
lights.
They're really, really nice. They're really, and the app is really user friendly.
Okay.
Which I like. And for me, anyone that knows me on Instagram, Irish Shirt Guy, you see a lot of my videos, like I shoot underneath the blues, underneath the whites. The lights offer all, like a range of spectrum, which is so key. And it makes things so much easier to capture, 100%. You know, that nice shot. Then I'm running.
So just to grab you on the Orphics then, I love your colour spectrum here.
Thank you very much.
I really like it. So many tanks you walk into nowadays, and I know it's the way it's done now, I know it's the thing, a lot of tanks are like that, but you know, like on my reef tank I run Radions, right?
Yeah.
But I'm always trying to look for Radion Pros rather than Radion Blues because I like the wider colour spectrum and the ability to have slightly whiter light.
Yeah.
When I started reefing it was metal halides and T5s, there were no LEDs.
Yeah.
So your light was white, and then you're accenting it with the blues and the purples from the T5 tubes, but a whiter reef was what we were looking at essentially all the time. So for me in the hobby now, everything's very, very blue, but you've got a really nice balance of that. Like it's not a white lit tank. Yeah. It is blue, it is purple. But it really works. I really like it. It looks quite a natural spectrum of lighting on it.
I think it's hit the perfect, well, not to say it's the perfect light spectrum, but it really shows off the corals, but it also shows off the fish.
Sure.
And if you're going to
the fish are a big thing for you, clearly.
If you're going to put so much money and time and effort into the fish, you might as well, you know, get the full beauty of it. Especially when you're running, like, not to go back to the clowns and the Achilles, but the Achilles is like black with a bright orange spot on it. It has its white. The clowns are like crystal white
with their markings.
So like you might as well get to see the colours of the fish as well. That's why I like, especially I like the spectrum a lot.
It's really nice. The lovely lights.
And as I said, the app, like there's full controllability.
Usability.
So it's really easy.
So the equipment you're running then, I see. Well, I saw your Alcatronic dose for a couple of weeks ago. That's a new piece of kit for you. So you're running. It's quite simple, isn't it? Deltec Skimmer, Red Sea roller mat. You've got a UV on there.
I have a UV.
24/7 UV.
24/7 UV.
And you're running ozone.
I am running ozone for 4 hours at night time.
Okay, so 4 hours at night time, so not 24/7.
And I'm not running at max either.
Okay. Just a little trickle.
Just a little trickle. I think it helps with the water clarity and you know, any nasties like you know. Let's be real, everyone's human, sometimes nasties do get into the water.
Of course.
Ozone just helps.
Absolutely, so you're using it a bit for kind of parasite control, a little bit of water clarity, just making sure everything's right. You've got a perfect Achilles, you need something, right?
100%.
And then dosing and testing, your Alcatronic and your Dosatronic are doing your 4-part?
I'm actually doing AQUAFOREST actually only 3-part.
Cool.
So I actually have 2 spare dosing heads on the Dosatronic, which you know is great for me. I'm able to do my no-pox, and I still have 1 spare there.
Right.
So.
So your regular dosing is your AQUAFOREST 3-part. Your no-pox.
And then just 1 spare. It's just
and 1 spare for emergency, something goes wrong, you need to put something on, etc. Absolutely, and obviously auto top off and all that kind of stuff.
Red Sea auto top off. Like I must say, I think the Red Sea auto top off is a game changer.
Right.
It's really, really good. And it works perfect because it's obviously on the tanks. It sits into that corner where into the sump where you know it's designed to go. For me, it just works really well. So I'm very happy with it.
Amazing.
So
really nice.
To be honest, equipment-wise, I know I have the Alcatronic and I have the Dosatronic, but apart from that, it's actually not really that complex. It's very basic. Well, just looking at your sump, you're not running. It's not. We'll go into some of the close-ups afterwards, but you're not running refugiums. There's nothing too complicated. You open the cab and you think, I can see the equipment, I can see what it does, and it all provides a purpose. It's simple, it's simple, and I think a lot of the times in this hobby, people tend to go
overcomplicating.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny? This is another thing that came up when we were talking about our series of like starting up a reef tank. One of the main things that we say to people all the time coming into the hobby is don't overcomplicate. Honestly, anybody coming into the hobby who was new to it would look at this tank and be like, if I can achieve that in 20 years or my lifetime, I'd be happy. It's beautiful, and to see how simply you're running it is really lovely to see. So fair play.
I had an old teacher that used to say, "KISS, keep it simple, stupid."
Keep it simple, stupid. There you go.
And I think that's kind of how I'm running it. Do have the 2 fans.
Yes.
Which I think have kind of become a lot more important now. And I think over the last couple of weeks, they were running, and it just kept my temperature like
unbelievable.
I've seen some people online, especially on Instagram and that, where their temperature started to spike a small bit.
Yes.
Mine was just straight on the whole.
Well, we've had some sunshine, guys. We've actually had a bit of really warm weather in Ireland, which is crazy.
shocking, yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. I mean, people are coming all the time going, how do I get the temperature down in my tank? You know, it's too hot. And everyone knows that tanks need heating, but in our part of the world anyway, I know where a lot of you guys might be looking at this from, you're running chillers more than they're running heaters and stuff like that. For us, it's very much heaters, and then chillers, well, if necessary.
I'd say there's probably only a handful of people running chillers.
Oh, 100%, yeah. It used to be a lot. I don't know, how long are you in the hobby for, by the way?
I started during COVID in 2020.
Okay, so 2020, so 5 years in the hobby. So when I started, you're talking 25 years ago, and like I say, the metal halides and all of that kind of stuff, back then, chillers were almost essential because of the heat from the lights. The lights were bringing the temperature of the tank up, so you were running these canister chillers as a loop and a sump to keep the temperature down. Heaters at night, chiller during the day because the halides were doing all the heating. So yeah, LEDs, massive advancement in the hobby.
True.
Cool. So tell me a little bit about your parameters then. What are you running here? You're obviously running a lot of torches. You've got a limited amount of SPS, so I imagine you want some readable nutrients in the system.
Yeah, so my nitrate is at about 7 to 10.
Okay.
And then my phosphate or PO4 is at 0.1
okay.
to 0.2. I like that range.
Yep.
Just keep it in there.
Yep.
I think
that's nice
that range is nice.
Yes.
Because me personally, anyway, I struggle to keep it under.
Okay.
The 0.1.
Yeah.
So I think
you've got a school of chromas swimming around eating, doing what chromas do best.
Yeah. So that's why. But I think I'd rather have it, even in the higher ones, the 0.17, and have it there all the time, rather than it be at 0.17, do a water change, add in loads of liquids into the tank, and all of a sudden then it's 0.03, and then it goes back up and it's down.
Yes,
I'd rather just have it, keep it stable.
Yeah, fantastic. I agree with you. Again, going back to kind of new reef keepers, etc., people coming in talking about nutrients and stuff like that, people going, I'm not happy because my tank isn't at 5 and 0.05. It's like, this is a beautiful example of where you're in that 7 to 10 range, which I think is an ideal nitrate range. And you're not killing it to keep your phosphates down. Like, everyone knows that you don't want 0.5, right? But 0.1, there or thereabouts, even creeping a little bit higher, clearly not having a detrimental effect on your corals. You know, they're beautiful, they're out, they're puffy, they're clearly growing. Like you were talking about before, a lot of these corals came in as frags and single heads, and they're growing on and doing what they do in your tank, and they're doing that. You've a clam in the back there, you've your nems, so much stuff going on that it's clearly thriving and doing so well. And you're keeping your nutrients probably on the high side of what people would think is okay.
See, I think it's very easy as a newbie to come in and almost get lost in like this cycle of this person I'm seeing on YouTube says this, my local reef source saying this. I think it was Adam Sandler in Polar Reef said, pick one person.
Yes. Follow them. Absolutely.
And that's kind of
take a bit of information from one, a bit from the other, a bit from the other. Before you know it, you're trying to do a jigsaw puzzle out of 3 different boxes, and it doesn't work.
It's impossible. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's impossible.
So follow a method. Yeah, another amazing piece of advice from Dean here, guys. Follow a method. If you're going to follow someone, follow one person and do what they're doing rather than what 10 different people are doing. So
it's impossible to keep 10 different people happy.
Absolutely.
So, and to be honest, like, obviously, like, the nutrients, once your corals are happy in that, like, you can have higher nutrients, you can have lower nutrients. Like, everyone, you see people successful on the higher scale, you see people successful on the lower scale. Like, if I was to go back to one of my older tanks during COVID, when I done my first ICP, my corals looked like this. They were all out puffy. Corals were growing. The phosphate was actually at 2.8.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
and
not advising that.
No, I'm not advising that.
No, but you got away with it for a time. And not critical, and you were managing despite a high phosphate, and okay,
And
really
well,
cool.
to be honest, the nitrates to match. To be honest, the nitrates were almost 30 or 40, I think, as well.
Unbelievable.
Now, obviously, I don't recommend that, but that's what it was. And corals were happy. Corals were growing. So,
amazing, wonderful. And how about your micro macros, your calcium, magnesium, that kind of thing? Are you running that?
Obviously, because I have so many torches and I have so much LPS guys and that, I'm running my
high magnesium.
High magnesium. So I'm at about 1380, I think.
Not that high.
Not that high. I could go higher. I could go higher.
1500 wouldn't be unusual for a tank like yours.
Yeah, 100%. I have seen it. I have seen I've actually seen people, especially online, like at the 1500 consistently. And then my calcium is 470.
Cool.
So it is. So I like to keep it, about 3 times So your magnesium 3 times higher than your calcium.
Absolutely.
So in and around that bracket.
Yeah.
And then my KH is obviously tested with Alcatronic.
Yes.
But it's in a range of 8 to 8.5.
Okay.
And it usually sits around that 8.3.
Right.
Scale, unless the Alcatronic.
And isn't that tool wonderful at just doing all of the calculations?
So easy.
Taking the readings, adjust your dosing foot, magic kit.
It's
magic
so
kit. A
easy.
few quid, but magic kit, isn't it? Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
It is absolutely. Especially if you're not like, obviously I'm lucky I work from home, so I get to see, I will be able to test regularly.
Sure.
But if you're not at home, you're doing a lot of travelling, it's nice to see it on your phone.
Absolutely.
And know things that are, you know, working. Which is nice. So
one of the biggest advancements for me, 2 advancements in the hobby over recent years: lighting and testing.
Yeah,
like those are the 2 things. The LED lighting so much better than with the controllability than we ever had it before, and the fact that testing now, your home kits are reasonably reliable. You've got auto testing on your tank, and then we've also got ICPs as well, you know. Like we always had flow. There were various different ways of making things flow in different directions, etc, etc. But yeah, lighting and testing are the things that really, for me, allow tanks like this to exist.
Planning to add the Mastertronic Essentials.
Okay.
So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
If Focustronic happen to watch this, send me out one.
Send me one, guys.
Yes.
Come on. You know you want to. We'll do a full product review on it for you.
But,
very good.
Yeah. So to be honest, that's it. Like my tank is. It's kept simple. I run it simple.
It's very clean. Do you clean it much? Glass cleaning, sand cleaning, or do your animals take care of that for you?
Well, if we've been here, I don't know, 10 minutes. The tanks are constantly grazing.
Yes,
like constantly, all over the rocks, all the time.
But you're not loaded with, like I've seen a cleaner shrimp in there. Great idea. You've tanked. There's a snail or 5 or 6 knocking around. There's a couple on the glass there, but it's not overrun with cleanup crew. But it's really nice and clean. So you must be putting some effort in.
Well, obviously, I use the the Tunzi scraper to clean glass. Maybe 2 or 3 days. Is usually what I get out of it. Ozone obviously helps with water clarity.
Of course.
To be honest, the biggest thing I think that helps is the AQUAFOREST hybrid post salt. It's crystal clear. It mixes well, and when it goes into the tank, like. It just keeps the water like nice and clean. I do 60 litres of a water change every week.
So you're there or thereabouts 10% a week. Regularly, every week? Do you miss?
No,
every week. Every week.
Like I think it's so important.
If 100%.
If I'm going away for 2 weeks, I'll do one at the start and I'll do one at the end. Like I always like it's proper
routine happens all the time. Perfect, ideal. Another really good one. Another really good tip is running a tank without water changes. Can it be done? Yes. Should it be done? Depends. And I think if you're a very seasoned reef keeper and you know exactly where everything's at, then you're going to manage a no water change system. But I agree with you, 10% a week doesn't take much doing. Breathes a bit of fresh air into the tank, keeps everything tipping away, you get results like this from that kind of a maintenance routine, right?
Well, it obviously helps with nutrient control, and it helps with the water clarity. As you can see, like the water it's proper, like crystal clear. And I always find that like, there's no harm in changing the water. If you were stuck in if we were stuck in this room and we weren't changing any of the air. Exactly. So there's no harm.
I'm already feeling I need to open the window. It's warm here, isn't it? Like, it's a warm day as well, but you do, don't you? You want a bit of fresh air every now and then.
100%.
Can you live with somebody through a bit of oxygen under the door every now and then? Well, sure, but are we not better to just let a bit of fresh air in? Like that's my thinking on it anyway. So looks absolutely beautiful, mate. Really, really does. Any plans for the future with the tank? Have you got a direction you're going in with it? I mean, not that you're there, like it's beautiful, but any changes you're looking for in the future? Or?
I'm going to add more torches.
More torches.
More torches, I love the flow. I love the combination.
They'll have to move up a bit, obviously.
So more torches. I'm taking the sand bed out. And I'm planning to scrape the black glass because I want that pop.
You want
proper
real
Instagram reefer pop.
Instagram reefer. Well, that's the next thing we're going to talk about. So Dean on Instagram, really good following. Irish shrimp guy, Irish shrimp guy. So we'll pop a link down in the comments in the description below so that you can find Dean on Instagram. So give him a follow, guys. Lots of AQUAFOREST updates, lots of info about the shop that we're doing as well as us. Dean's putting stuff on his Instagram as well. Give him a follow, give him a like, get on Instagram, have a look at all of the cool stuff. Come into the store, buy some AQUAFOREST gear, and if you're very lucky and put a lot of effort in and are very dedicated, you might just have a tank of Anything else you want to talk about your tank, bud?
No, to be honest, that's it. Like that's my tank in a nutshell. It's simple. It's full of corals. It's full of fish.
Yeah.
And yeah,
it's beautiful.
It's just how I like it.
Dean,
thank you very much.
Thank you for being on the channel, mate. Thank you for being the first. Our first victim, many more to come. And yeah, thank you, mate. Cheers.
I appreciate it.
Well, guys, there we go. The first of our tanks of Ireland. Hopefully many more to come. Just want to say again, big thank you to Dean for going first, putting his tank on display like that, allowing us to come over and film and take the time. It's been a bit of a process, to be fair, what with a bit of scheduling ups and downs. I've had to move the date a couple of times, Dean's had to move the date a couple of times. It's taken a little while to get there, so fair play, we get there in the end. Give Dean a look up on Instagram. He's at Irish Shrimp Guy. The link's down there in the comments below. So get onto Instagram and have a look. Dean does a lot of good stuff for the hobby here in Ireland. He's a brand ambassador for us here at the shop, and also for the AQUAFOREST brand as well. So I want to say as well, big congratulations to Dean. He's just managed to hit 2,000 subscribers or followers on his Instagram page there. So yeah, going great guns. We're a small, tight community here in Ireland that do this hobby, so 2,000 subscribers, really big milestone. I'm sure he's going to do lots and lots more as well. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed making that, and hopefully we're going to do lots more as well. If you guys are interested in getting involved, maybe your tank might be in the next one in our series on the tanks of Ireland, give us a shout, get in touch, all the usual ways. Facebook Messenger, you can comment down below, you can get in touch via phone, WhatsApp, email, all of that stuff, and who knows, we might give you a call, come out and see you, film your tank, and you might be next in the series. Cheers.